from Arizona, who also worked part-time as a motivational speaker.
When you get someone to the briefing, they say no, that counts. When you get someone fully exposed and they say no, that counts. Every time you get one of those, cross one off the list. By the time the 100th one's crossed off the list, you won't be able to spend the money.
He was a very charismatic young man, which immediately caught Jody's attention. They met at a business conference in September of 2006 and began a curious relationship from that point forward. To cut a long story short, Jody was in love, and Travis was not. They broke up after just 5 months, but soon after the split, Jody moved from her grandparents' home in Eureka, California, into an apartment just 2 blocks from Travis's house in Mesa, Arizona. She was at that moment labeled the crazy stalker ex by all of Travis's friends, and although Travis agreed, he would continue having sex with her out of pure convenience. She would show up unannounced on countless occasions, sometimes in the middle of the night, and Travis would let her in every time. It became somewhat of a routine, and a dysfunctional situation that neither were happy with. Travis, although he enjoyed the sex, essentially wanted her out of his life, while Jody desperately wanted a serious relationship. And going off the myriad of entries in her diary, she firmly held on to the belief that they were meant to be together. In late May of 2008, however, she would ultimately have a change of heart. Travis had a work retreat planned to Cancun, Mexico for July 10th. It was all paid for by his employer and allowed him to take a friend with him. Jody knew about this and believed, or at the very least hoped, that she would be the one going. Yet in the last week of May, it became known that Travis was taking another woman instead. A Mormon girl by the name of Mimi Hall, someone that Travis had been romantically interested in for some time. When Jody found out, it would be safe to assume that she was heartbroken. It would be even safer to assume that she was absolutely enraged. And the collective opinion is that a specific thought process began to emerge in her mind, one that forged a psychological justification for a certain decision. On June 4th, 2008, 6 days before Travis was set to leave for Mexico, Jody would once more show up unannounced. All we know for sure is that they had sex and took explicit pictures of each other using Travis's new camera. At roughly 5 p.m., Travis would get in the shower and Jody would begin taking pictures of him using the same camera. Then, moments after this picture was taken, Jody would stab Travis a total of 27 times. She would also cut his throat and shoot him in the face. During the onslaught, Travis's camera took 2 accidental photographs. The first was taken as Jody dropped it during the onset of the attack. The second was taken as she kicked it by mistake while moving Travis's body. It showed Jody's foot and a fatally wounded or deceased Travis. The amount of time that passed from the 2 photographs was 62 seconds. Jody then spent an estimated 45 minutes cleaning down the crime scene to make sure none of her DNA was left behind. This included wiping down the victim's body with a cup of water and a cloth. She also deleted the pictures from Travis's camera before throwing it in the washing machine. She would then drive back out into the desert and leave Travis a voicemail for the purpose of placing herself away from the crime scene and giving herself an alibi.
I know Leslie called you, so I already talked to her, so you can call her back if you want, but it's not necessary. My phone died, so I wasn't getting back to anybody. And what else? Oh, and I drove 100 miles in the wrong direction, over 100 miles, thank you very much. So yeah, remember New Mexico? It was a lot like that, only you weren't here to prevent me from going into the 3 digits, so fun. Tell you all about that later. Also, when we were talking about your upcoming travels my way, I was looking at the May calendar, so I'm all confused. Heather and I are going to see Othello on July 1st, and we would love for you to accompany us. Let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. End of message.
Jody would then drive to another man's house in Utah by the name of Ryan Burns and stayed the night. He would later testify that nothing seemed off about Jody's behavior, only that they kissed and engaged in sexual intercourse. Travis's body was discovered by Mimi and her friends 5 days later, the day before they were supposed to leave to Cancun together.
How long were you there trying to get into the house?
Just, a couple of minutes. I knocked on the door, rang the doorbell over and over again. Nobody answered. I was scared that something might be happening to him because I knew that he had a stalker. Travis's friend on the phone suggested that we go in through the garage and look for him in the house. And then as soon as they said that they saw blood, that there's blood everywhere, I stopped looking and said, he's dead. He's dead. And so immediately I called the police.
After the news of Travis's death broke the following day, Jody called the police and offered to help with the investigation. She was then transferred to the lead detective, Esteban Flores, of the Mesa Police Department. The most notable detail of the phone call was that Jody agreed to provide a sample of her DNA. Over the following month, forensics were able to uncover the deleted photos from Travis's camera, and despite her best efforts, discovered Jody's DNA all over the crime scene. During this time, oblivious to the evidence that was building against her, Jody would post multiple pictures of her and Travis on Facebook, alongside emotional messages to Travis himself. She even sent his family flowers and a letter expressing her grief over his death. The Mesa Police Department launched their case against Jody on July 15th, 41 days after the murder. Detective Flores would be the one to conduct her interrogation. He had spoken with her once over the phone and was present when she was fingerprinted and swabbed for DNA. The Siskiyou County Police arrested Jody at her grandparents' house at 7:35 a.m. and only said they had a warrant for her arrest without giving further information. She was placed in handcuffs and didn't once ask what she was being arrested for in the 6-minute drive to the local police station. What makes Jody Arias stand out among many cases in the realm of true crime is the manner in which she attempts to navigate the system. She seems to believe that if she presents herself in a certain way and adopts a very specific character with very specific traits, it will give her the best chance at evading the consequences of her actions. In her mind, this character is a soft-spoken, sweet-natured, God-fearing individual, yet to everyone else is quite possibly the most universally annoying person to ever abide in the history of existence. In the next moment, Jody will hear Detective Flores approaching the room. She will then abruptly place her head on the table to make it appear as if she's sleeping. She will now notice the detective has instead walked past the room and then revert back to her regular sitting position. For whatever reason, Jody wants to appear as if she's in a far calmer state than she actually is. She wants the detective to believe that she's relaxed enough to doze off, when she is in fact extremely alert and anticipating his arrival. She places her head back on the table to feign a placid state once more, and you'll notice her left shoulder hovers in what looks like a very uncomfortable position for just over a minute. She then hears the external door open, at which point she takes a deep breath and then fully rests onto the table.
Let me get those off you. Does she remember me?
Of course I do.
I traveled all the way up here to come talk to you. Because, I've been working on Travis's case ever since it happened. Okay, and I know exactly when it happened, when he was killed. I know a lot of details, and just recently we found quite a bit of evidence, and I'll discuss it with you. The main thing that I'm looking for, though, is answers on why certain things happened, why they went so far, and also get your statements.
Okay.
She's been brought to a police station in handcuffs and now just told her arrest is concerning the death of her ex-lover. An innocent person sitting in her position would want immediate clarification as to what exactly is going on. Jody doesn't inquire further, just gently accepts to cooperate after being given a very vague, yet highly accusive clarification of the situation.
A lot of details in this case that haven't been released to the public and not even to Travis's family. And those details are known only by us and the person who did it. Okay, and that's one of the reasons I'm here, because I believe that you know some of those details.
Hindsight allows us to recognize this is simply an attempt to appear innocent. She seems to think that if she appears confident enough to recommend the use of an outdated voice recorder, that it will seem as though she has nothing to hide in the eyes of the detective. But it's just bizarre. If the detective wasn't already certain of Jody's guilt, he would most certainly become suspicious at this moment.
Yeah, I haven't touched those or anything, but,
okay.
Jody's mind would be racing here, yet she desperately wants her exterior self to appear calm. She's so focused on having this nonchalant disposition that she completely fails to realize her behavior doesn't match the situation whatsoever. She's in a state of hyperarousal while feigning a state of composure, and the end result just looks very strange. It gives reason for her unusual infatuation with a voice recorder, and also for her oncoming sitting position, which really can't be described, only compared to a sea lion peeking over a rock.
they're not on, so what I want to do is just get to the bottom of it. Everybody wants to know. Okay? And, so I'm going to ask you some questions. You can voluntarily answer them if you want. Okay, is that cool?
Yeah,
Yes. There was some question about you being... Let's start with this. What have you been up to since Travis's death? What have you been doing?
Well, I've been working. I haven't been really working on prepaid legal. There's not a whole lot here in this marketplace, which is...
It's kind of small here.
It's small here, and really that could be seen as an opportunity rather than a hindrance, because that just means the market is untapped in a larger way. So I could have, if I wanted to, but I'm kind of like a deer in the headlights when it comes to people. I just have a fear of just approaching people.
You'll come to notice that Jody will go off on these unrelated tangents anytime she has the slightest chance to do so. It's a recurring theme in interrogations for when the suspect is facing serious charges, and the common theory is that it's an attempt at gaining a momentary escape from what is likely the most terrifying moment of their life. Going into detail about topics completely unrelated to the situation at hand essentially delays the onset of their new reality. Forensic psychology views this as a form of denial. The detective subtly nudges her away from the theme of network marketing and onto the topic of Travis. She starts off with a Facebook post she made in his memory.
I realized looking back on it that it kind of sounded immature. It's more like my dear Travis kind of letter. And so I took it down because
Personal.
yeah, some of it was details, more personal, not too personal, nothing inappropriate. Just I just felt funny. I think because I'm a photographer, I tend to communicate more through pictures. So I posted a ton of pictures that I had of him. And I have a ton more that I just can't access right now. And videos and things that I know his family would want.
She then explains how it's hard to talk about Travis's death with the guy she's now dating.
And we've been talking a lot, and we try not to talk about that because it's kind of like, ugh. And plus, Travis is my ex-boyfriend, but at the same time, he's my friend. So while I'm warning my friend, how do you talk to your new potential, possible, maybe person that you might start dating about your friend, even if he's your ex-boyfriend? So it's kind of a gray area.
The detective knows she'll happily trail off until the morning comes, so he cuts her off and locks her into the situation at hand.
And I've talked to a lot of people, and everybody's point of view.
Hello?
You know, everybody is saying,
Oh, okay,
I don't
yeah.
understand what happened to Travis. I don't know who killed him. But you need to look at Jody. And sometimes the simplest answer, once you know that it's not healthy, but yet you continue to go back. And it brings us to this point where we are now.
Part of my perspective now has to do with the fact that I'm going through a repentance process that I worked out with, with my bishop, and he's giving me
chill out,
certain
buddy.
scriptures to read and then ponder and pray about. And
Preacher Jody emerges for another 2 minutes, going into detail about scriptures and baptisms. The detective then interjects and starts getting more confrontational with the facts about Jody's behavior towards Travis.
And obviously you guys kept this relationship hidden from everybody else, and because nobody really knew about it.
well,
There were some people who I talked to and said, yeah, they continue to have a relationship even after they broke up. And there are others who were saying that you had become obsessive with him to the point to where you would go into his house when he wasn't there, or when you weren't invited, and he would talk to people. So she just kind of showed up.
That's the scab I don't need. You're not doing the scab.
I don't want her again.
Oh, must have been early on, because there were a couple times when we established a rule early on, just don't come over unless he said you can come over anytime, but I need to know first.
The detective then starts ramping up the pressure and brings Jody's alibi and road trip into the discussion.
Was it the week of the first week of June? You took a trip to Salt Lake City. Which route did you take?
So I go up.
I was supposed to get on the 15th and go all the way up. And I somehow got off the 15th.
Where did you?
Wow, so we go down this way.
For a while I was lost.
Go down.
I'm not above sleeping in my car, so I slept for a while. I'm a heavy sleeper and I sleep a lot, so.
But you were on the 15 for a while.
Down.
You ended up getting off the 15 somewhere.
Yeah, I looked at the map and I'm pretty sure I know where I went.
I hate that that's
Can I drive you out?
Sure. So this trip took you a little over 8 hours. I have a problem with this trip.
Well, I went first too.
Yeah, I know. I know you went down here. I've gone over this trip over and over in my mind and on paper. And even if there's still 20 some odd hours, even if you pulled over to sleep a couple of times.
Oh, did I tell you that I got stranded?
Yeah. If you slept for 10 hours,
I only slept for
here and here, it would still leave 18 some odd hours. Or something else. Okay. This is what people are focusing on. It's a trip that you took. Because they're saying she left. She left until Thursday.
I want, right? This is literally the weakest, the weakest act, weakest special act you can get. It's better than what I got.
Your cell phone was turned off between here and here.
Well, I didn't turn it off physically, but it died.
And then magically you found your charger here.
It was packed under the seat of the passenger side, and it was when I was.
When you were lost, you couldn't have maybe pulled over and found it.
Well, I did finally start looking when I was stranded. I wouldn't have pulled over when I was lost.
Detective Flores explains to Jody multiple times over how the trip doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and whether it's feigned naivety or that she literally doesn't understand the concept of time and distance, she pretends to be confused by the allegation rather than actually confronted. This goes on for 3 minutes before the detective confronts Jody with the evidence of the photographs on Travis's camera.
But I don't think you're being completely honest with me.
So now I gotta keep that, I'm gonna drop you, I'm gonna take this.
It's bad timing.
See if I can make a slightly better ring, but I will make one ring right now.
Absolutely
But
not.
I will make one ring right now with 15 strength. 25 strength, 2 defense, and some more. That'll be usable.
Even close to him.
Strength banana ring. Nothing.
What if I could show you proof you were there?
No.
That changed your mind.
I wasn't there.
Be honest with you, Jody.
I was not at Travis's house. I was not.
You were at Travis's house. You guys had a sexual encounter. Which, there's pictures. And I know you know there's pictures. Because I have them. I will show them to you. Okay? So, what I'm asking you is for you to be honest with me. I know you were there.
Are you sure those pictures aren't from another time?
Positive. Remember I told you about the camera? The card's intact. Remember I told you that card was destroyed? I didn't want to tell you the truth. And I have pictures of you in Travis's bedroom with Travis pictures of him, and it's obvious you guys are having sex, taking photos of each other, and they're dated and time-stamped on the day he died.
Are you sure it's me? I mean, that because I was not there.
It's you. And you know it's you. I know all the details of this case. The only thing I don't know is why. Why did you choose to go visit Travis that day? And why did you do what you did? Why did you?
Travis.
You did. You hurt him. That's why we're here. That's why I flew up here. Because I needed to talk to you about this. I can just arrest you and throw you in jail, but I want to know why. Why did you do this to him?
It wouldn't hurt Travis. He's done so much for me.
I know you took pictures of him in the shower just before he died.
I don't think he would allow that.
And the camera actually took a couple of photos by accident during the time he was being killed.
Really?
Yeah, Jody, really. You were there. Quit playing this game. It's time for you to just come out and...
I didn't know. I did not hurt Travis. I did not hurt Travis. I wouldn't do that to him.
The detective then goes on to explain the DNA evidence collected at the crime scene, which includes Jody's blood mixed with Travis's blood, Jody's hair, and Jody's bloody palm print.
You either had blood on your hand and you touched the wall, or there was blood on the wall and you touched the blood.
Could
So your
my
ass.
palm print have already been there and then I touched it?
Jody. Jody, this is over. This is absolutely over. You need to tell me the truth.
Listen, the truth is I didn't hurt Travis.
If you want, I can show you some pictures of him. Do you want to see pictures of him?
Part of me does and part of me doesn't.
Why? Because you don't want to remember?
No,
Jody.
there's a morbid curiosity.
Jody.
I wanted to know how he died.
We can keep playing these games. I'm not going to believe you. It's over.
Could it have been my blood coming
Your
forward?
image is not important right now. Saving the rest of your life is.
Listen, if I'm found guilty, I don't have a life. I'm not guilty. I didn't hurt Travis. If I hurt Travis, if I killed Travis, I would beg for the death penalty. It just seems so impossible. I'd want to see it. I'd want to know. I mean, I'm not a murderer, but I guess if I were to do that, I would wear gloves or, something. Okay, let's say for a second that I did. And I say, I did it. I mean,
The motive is there. The jealousy issue.
but I wouldn't even say it was jealous. I mean, there may have been some jealousy there, but
Then what is
I think
it?
if
What
anyone-
caused this?
I think if anyone, maybe Travis was jealous, but
That's not what everybody else says. I can prove you were there. I can prove it. But what I don't have is I don't have answers on why it happened. Or, maybe something just got out of hand. Maybe things got out of hand.
did you finally have the gun? Maybe that would...
Joey, we're just playing games here. I'm going to take a little break, but I need you to think about what you're doing here. Because the best thing for you to do is to tell me the truth. It's so important that you tell me why this occurred, what was going through your mind, and what caused you to do this. I'll let you think about that. Okay? And I'm going to go look for some pictures, and I'll bring them over, I probably found it by now.
Probably. I was taking it somewhere.
These are just a few photos. And I want to be careful not showing you certain photos
Please
because
don't
some
show
of them are very bad.
If Travis were here today, he would tell you that it wasn't me.
No. My job is to speak for Travis right now. And everything Travis is telling me is that Jody did this to you. That one. Remember him?
Seems naked. In the shower.
Good.
Jody is then shown one of the pictures that was taken by accident while she was in the process of murdering Travis.
It's your foot, Jody. These are your pants. No, it's off color because we had enhanced it in the color palette changes a little bit. It's Travis.
This is his bathroom. That is not my foot.
Couldn't even recognize Travis. He'd been there so long. Do you have any recent cuts that are healed?
Well, my cat scratches me. Little things. These are all her work. You can see this is her. That's her. I've got scars. She's a feral cat. All these little things.
Good about the cat, but there's no doubt in my mind that you were there. There's no doubt in my mind that you did this. None. So you can go until you're blue in the face and tell me you weren't there and you had nothing to do with it. I won't believe you. I want to know why. It's killing me inside. I don't know why.
Like there's no reason for it. There's no reason why. There's no reason I would ever want to hurt him.
And I have a solid case against you. And I can present it to the judge. As cold as it is now. I don't know why she did it. Or I can present it to the judge with your explanation.
If I don't know what happened,
You'll have to pay the price.
so what's the price?
I don't know.
Don't you know what the sentences are? The sentences that are carried for something.
It depends on your situation, how old you are. It depends on the type of crime. It depends on whether you show remorse or not. And part of that remorse is at least coming clean. When somebody doesn't come clean, I don't see any remorse. I know you're afraid, but you're already going through it right now. There's no backing up. There's no backing up to yesterday. There's no backing up to that day. It already happened. And unfortunately, you're gonna have to face the consequences.
If I did that, I would be fully ready to face the consequences. I'm not really for things like, I'm all for the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. Okay? I just can't. I didn't kill Travis. I just didn't. I did not take his life.
You need to come out and tell me why this happened. I will not accept any other excuses. I will just move on with my investigation, with my final report, and submitting all the conclusions and all the evidence. And we can just let a judge and a jury decide. We can leave it in the hands of the jury. We can do that. That's fine.
Would that help me all?
You can't use it in court, but
Well, then there's no point.
you took a knife to him and couldn't stop. You couldn't stop. And before you knew it, it was all over. And then you panicked. And then
I've never been angry about you. Not enough for that. I've been so far angrier at other people, at other ex-boyfriends.
tell me who could have done this? Who did this?
I don't know, but if I go to trial for this, and if I'm convicted for this, whoever did this is going to be sitting very pretty somewhere. Glad that it wasn't them.
And it's my job to make sure that an innocent person does not go to jail. But I don't see an innocent person sitting in front of me.
Travis has done a lot for me, and I wouldn't hurt him. He introduced the gospel to me.
Why is everybody saying that you are capable of hurting him? Everybody says it.
I don't know why anyone.
So don't tell me that you're not capable.
I don't even hurt spiders. Oh, I kicked a dog once. I was a freshman in high school, and I love animals. And we had this dog, his name was Doggy Boy, and my parents, until this dog that they have now, have never been able to, and I don't mean just them, we as a family have never been able to care for a dog properly as far as give it attention and take the walks and be consistent.
To save you the oncoming ramble about Doggy Boy the dog, she lightly tapped him with her foot for tearing open the trash, and she's felt so bad ever since that it changed her entire worldview on the animal kingdom. She now apologizes to the dog, through the detective, who's conducting her interrogation for first-degree murder.
And I need to apologize for that to him. I know it sounds weird, my relationship with animals. It's kind of like they're like people too, they have souls.
What you need to do is you need to apologize to Travis. But you just refuse.
Listen.
I can't help you anymore if you're not going to help yourself.
You asked me prior.
I can't, Jody.
It's fascinating to observe how fast she can switch from one emotion to the next once she realizes a particular strategy hasn't worked. The attempt at elevating her character by expressing how much she cares for spiders and pets hasn't seemed to have any effect on the detective. So she then switches her disposition from sorrowful to analytical, as she once more tries to manipulate his perception of her.
If I did anything that had anything to do with his death in any way,
It's not if to me.
I wouldn't.
It's not if. It's not if at all.
Well, to me it is. I would be more than remorseful.
Is it maybe something you're blocking out of your head?
I don't think so. I mean, I tend to write everything down. I just finished the book, The Road Less Traveled. And he said, the true definition of sanity is dedication to reality at all costs.
This is definitely reality. We are sitting here inside an office, the sheriff's department, and you are facing first-degree murder charges.
What is the
And you
difference?
are going to be booked into jail, and eventually you will be brought back to Arizona, and you will stand trial. That's the reality. And once you realize that, I think you'll be better for it.
I've had worse issues with other people. They're all still alive. I'm still friends with my ex-boyfriends. They're all still alive.
You know, I've been doing this a long time. And there's one thing that I can never get out of my head. Ever since the first day I talked to you. There's an old saying that, someone's just not acting right. Look into it. You have not acted right from day one. You're just not acting right, Jody. You're acting like somebody who's guilty. You tell me. I know because I've been doing it a long time. It's taken me a long time to figure it out. But within the first 30 seconds to a minute of a conversation, I know when somebody's acting. There's a certain way people act.
How did I act? It
It's
was
not
I
like
think.
It's not like TV. It's not like that. It's not what you see in the movies.
Is it because I'm not crying?
No. It's not because of that.
What is it? I mean, I'm not going to change how I act.
No, obviously you can't change the way you're
No, I
acting.
mean, I am who I am.
Okay, you're sincere in the way you're acting. But
How is
you're just not telling the truth.
How is it different?
It's not really something you need to focus on anymore.
After Jody failed her attempts to extract inside knowledge on the best way to behave in order to appear innocent, she then attempts to explain why she hasn't been able to appear innocent.
It's not that I'm not remorseful that he died. The reason I hesitate is because maybe this is something that's wrong with me psychologically, is I think of the butterfly effect. And it's like, you could say that the guy pumping gas down at the gas station could have potentially, because you see all these movies, these funky movies where it's like this affected this, which affected this, which affected this, if he had never done this.
I know if you had never met him, he probably would still be alive.
That's true.
Yeah, that's because you killed him.
No, I just can't admit to something that I didn't do. If it would help my case and give me an easier sentence, I know that people plead guilty for those things.
No, and I don't want you to do that. That is the absolute last thing I want.
I wish that I had answers. I'm sorry. There's just no reason. There's just no reason.
There's no good reason why this happened. There's never a good reason why somebody dies like this.
This seems to be the moment Jody fully confronts the reality of her situation. The anguish she has over her own fate will become visible, yet she will now disguise this anguish as grief over Travis's death. She does this by posing a question.
How many times was Travis stabbed?
More than I want to remember. I think you're feeling the reality in the moment now.
Travis's family is gonna miss out on the Travis. There's just no reason I would ever want to hurt him.
All I know is that I need a story or else it's just cold. It's so cold. But without the truth, I can't paint another picture. And it's going to be up to the prosecutor to paint that picture. And if you want that prosecutor, and I've met him, and you don't want him painting that picture.
I have to maintain my innocence. I can't admit to doing something that I haven't done. There's just no
I
reason.
have more work to do.
Can you give me a rundown of what's gonna happen from here, please?
Yeah, you're,
Like, just today, for example.
well, you're probably taken across the street to the county jail. You'll be processed through there.
This is a really trivial question, and it's gonna reveal how shallow I am. But before they book me, can I clean myself up a little bit?
You're going to be taken the way you are. I can't give you anything else.
Do I have to go in handcuffs everywhere? It's just procedure.
Whether you wrote a bad check or you're facing murder charges.
was then taken to the county jail and charged with the murder of Travis Alexander. She stayed there overnight, and it would be a total of 16 hours before she was taken back to the Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office. Her second interrogation commenced at approximately 9:30 a.m.
Just remember
If you want to go ahead and stand up for me, as I take these cuffs off, just go ahead and put your hands down at the waist, okay?
The game plan for the second interrogation will be a lot more strategic. Investigators will have studied the footage of the day prior and will now have a greater understanding of Jody's personality. The initial tactic is for Detective Blaney to criticize and berate the suspect's character while simultaneously reinforcing fear and apprehension. She makes it very clear from the offset that the suspect's fabricated naivety and sickly sweet persona will not work on this occasion. And Jody's self-esteem will be broken down in a manner that would typically be considered bullying or abuse under different circumstances. This is done so that when Detective Flores returns, it will be a welcome relief, and an immediate rapport will then be attained, which in turn will make the suspect far more likely to cooperate. It's a derivative of good cop, bad cop, and the two investigators execute this technique in a near-perfect manner. Detective Blaney's time with the suspect is essentially a non-stop psychological onslaught, which is sometimes executed in a passive manner, while other times in a far more direct manner. During the latter stages of the bad cop procedure, Jody will be asked if she would prefer to speak with Detective Flores instead. This question is posed a total of 5 times, and only on the 5th time will Jody finally give in and admit that she would. This will give her the impression that when Detective Flores...
There's no question in my mind or any of the other investigators. This hits the news. And it will. It'll go to... I got information from the other interview. You were talking about...
Who do you think killed him?
I have no idea.
Jody, you're pretty calm sitting here. How are you managing to stay so calm?
Through my faith and through the knowledge of my own innocence. That's the only thing. I would be shaking in my boots right now if I had to answer to God for such a heinous crime.
Jody Arias killed Travis Alexander. There is no question about it.
This is Jody's defense team, and what you just saw was the very beginning of their opening statement on the first day of her trial. The date is January 2nd, 2013, exactly 4 years, 6 months, and 2 days after Travis was murdered.
The million-dollar question is what would have forced her to do it.
They must have figured the assassination story wouldn't go down well with a jury, especially when confronted with the many steps Jody took to get away with the murder. So the narrative has now changed for a 3rd time, and the defense have to come up with a plausible explanation for Jody's trail of deception. The hole she had dug herself into was exceptionally deep, and her attorneys are now crafting the rope to pull her out.
Jody did not always tell the truth about what happened that night. She was scared. Scared about what had happened and scared about what she had done. She had absolutely no experience with police interrogation before.
You don't say.
And so when they talked to her, she wasn't always truthful. Her fear and her panic about what had happened led her to tell different stories. Throughout this trial, you will learn more about Jody Arias.
Although not everyone in Travis's family were devout Mormons, all of them were close. He in particular had a very strong relationship with his sister Tanisha, and as you can probably tell, a picture can say 1,000 words.
Much more about Jody. You will find that she's an articulate, bright young woman who's a very talented artist and photographer. And so what would have forced her to have to take Travis's life on that awful day? In order to answer that question, we have to go back to the beginning.
The bulk of the defense's opening was to paint Jody as the naive victim and Travis as the calculated villain.
Being a Temple member and an executive director of Prepaid Legal, outward appearances
would be very important to Travis. And so while he continued this facade of being a good and virginal Mormon man, he was inwardly dealing with his own sexual issues. And in Jody, he found somebody who was easily manipulated and controlled. Someone who would provide him with that secretive sexual relationship that he needed.
They also mentioned that Travis was violent with Jody on several occasions, that he would fly into these sudden rages for almost no reason, and that Jody was terrified of him. They end their statement with Jody's latest account of how Travis was killed, which is now a case of justifiable self-defense. The attorney gets to the moment Jody was taking pictures of Travis in the shower.
Jody accidentally drops Travis's camera. And as that camera was falling, that was enough for Travis, because he lunged at Jody in anger, knocking her to the ground in the bathroom where there was a struggle. Jody's life was in danger. In just a minute from this picture, we go to the next picture, where it's Travis's body. He's clearly injured already, in a minute. Now that very brief moment of time, a minute, is not the result of premeditation. In that 1 minute, had Jody not been forced to defend herself, none of us would be here. In that 1 minute, had Jody not chosen to defend herself, she would not be here.
This is not a case of whodunit. The person who done it, the person who committed this killing, sits in court today. It's the defendant, Jody Ann Arias. And the person that she done it to is an individual by the name of Travis Victor Alexander, a former boyfriend of hers, an individual that she was in love with, an individual that was a good man, an individual that was one of the greatest blessings in her life. And this love, well, she rewarded that love for Travis Victor Alexander by sticking a knife in his chest. And you know, he was a good man, according to her. And with regard to being a good man, well, she slit his throat as a reward for being a good man. And in terms of these blessings, well, she knocked the blessings out of him by putting a bullet in his head. She took the knife and began to stab him when he was in that defenseless sitting position.
This is very important to take note of. The prosecution just referred to this, the last photograph of Travis alive. Their argument is that Jody either asked him to sit down or at least waited for him to sit down before she began her attack. She knew Travis had to be in a disadvantaged position before she commenced her assault, and the prosecution's argument is that it was at this moment when Travis received a stab wound to the heart. He would have then began to rapidly lose consciousness from that point forward. He attempted to protect himself and escape, but he was soon overwhelmed by his attacker due to the rapid blood loss. The pool of blood outside his bathroom reinforces the argument that his throat was cut after the stabbings, and a coroner's report, which will be revealed in more detail later on, concludes that Travis was in all likelihood shot in the head last. Jody's version, on the other hand, has to be that Travis was shot first. The reason for this will also be explained later on.
And began and stuck the knife in his chest. He struggled. He grabbed the knife. And when he grabbed the knife, of course that resulted in more blood. I pushed the girl who was there, and I was able to get the better of her, and I was about to run out, get out and go get some help. Except that I was then confronted by the guy. This guy started looking through my purse. And lo and behold, in my purse, believe it or not, I happen to have my car registration that shows my address, because that's what I carry around. So they knew, they being this guy, knew exactly where I lived. And he said to me, well, if you tell what happened here, the same thing's going to happen to your family. There's a different story now. Now, it's not that she wasn't there. Now, it's not that it's two people with whatever variation she may have provided to these national shows. Now, she admits it. It was her. She's the person who actually did this. And even though she says that, she still has a view as As to the evidence, this is exhibit number 248.
No jury is going to convict me
Why not?
because I'm innocent, and you can mark my words on that one. No jury will convict me.
I also ask that you mark her words while you're marking the guilty verdict for her premeditated killing of Travis Alexander.
Jody spent 18 days on the stand. When she knew what questions were coming, and when completely uncontested, she was very much in her element. She was able to respond to the questions instinctively, and her dialogue came out in a confident and natural manner. You could tell she had each and every one of her responses planned to a T, and had considerable faith that her manipulative prowess would ultimately save her.
I don't know why, but they were Spider-Man, and
At this point in the trial, the defense had already detailed how Travis was physically abusive, sexually overbearing, and a deep-seated pedophile. Jody stated that she caught him on his computer looking at images of children, and that Travis had even asked her to wear Spider-Man underwear during sex. The next segment is Jody's supposed theory as to why Travis had such a request.
I do know, however, that the year prior, there's a child he was close with that really liked Spider-Man. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but he was very much into Spider-Man.
This is the reason why she never left Travis after finding out about his pedophilic urges.
I was under the impression that when he was able to sleep with a woman as opposed to fantasizing about a child, he felt like more normal as a man. So also, I had seen prior to this incident many beautiful qualities about him and good qualities about him and things that were attractive about him. And I believed that this incident was a negative part of himself that he didn't want to foster, or that he was fighting or struggling against, and that he ultimately wanted to eradicate.
So just to clarify what she actually said, her understanding and support of nature was the reason she stayed in a relationship with an unashamed pedophile. She kept it a complete secret, hoping he would change, all the while he was being physically and emotionally abusive on a regular basis. She's tearing down his character, but trying to do so in a subtle manner. She gives off the impression that she's holding back on his detraction to preserve some of his reputation, when she's actually trying to destroy it as much as she possibly can. This is Jody's version of events that led up to the killing in her own words. It's important to note that when you rehearse something in your head repeatedly, it can be as though it actually happened. And as we know, Jody had nothing but time on her hands for the last 4.5 years. The clip will begin at the moment she dropped Travis's camera.
It slipped. It was kind of like, the best I could describe it, like when you go to catch a football but it bounces and you kind of fumble it a little, because it didn't slip and just drop. It slipped and I tried to catch it and it kind of bounced a little and then fell on the ground and bounced and rolled onto the tile. It fell first on the mat, then it rolled right onto the tile. The mat isn't very big, it's just kind of right outside the shower. At that point, he got very angry and he stepped out of the shower. He lifted me up from the crouch position with enough force that my feet came off the ground momentarily, and he body slammed me on the tile. At that point, I rolled and I ran down the hallway. I ran into the closet. I slammed the door. I start running. If you are looking at the diagram, it would be on the left side of the seat. I began running that way with my initial intent to probably run out this door. I instead went for the gun.
According to Jody, a gun was hidden above the shelves in Travis's closet. She had discovered it a month earlier while cleaning.
I grabbed the gun. Right about then, Travis was opening the door. I grabbed it. I ran out into the bathroom. He ran, I believe, straight toward the door as well. At that point, I had run out of the bathroom, and I turned, and I just wanted him to stop, so I pointed the gun at him, hoping that that would just make him halt, and it didn't. Instead, he lunged at me right around the time that the gun went off, and I didn't mean for it to go off.
This is why her version has to be that Travis was shot first. According to her, it was all an accident. There was no intention to actually kill, and Travis's death was the unintended result of his own senseless aggression. So you might be wondering how she can explain the 27 stab wounds and the laceration to his throat.
We fell with pretty good force down in the corner, near 15, but not quite that close. It was kind of near the sink, kind of, sort of, that area. And he fell kind of on top of me, but to my right. I didn't want him to get on top of me. He was grabbing at my clothes. He was trying to get on top of me. I don't know where the gun went at that point. It was not in my hands anymore. It got knocked out of my hands, or if I dropped it, what. I broke away from him, and the moment I broke away, that's when he threatened my life.
Just to be clear on what Jody is talking about, after she accidentally shot Travis in the head, he wrestled her to the floor, but she then managed to break away, at which point he screamed the words, "I'll fucking kill you, bitch."
I'd have no clear memories after that, at all. Things began to get really foggy after the gun went off.
So there it is, her explanation as to why she slit the throat and continued stabbing the man she had no intention of killing is that she can't remember. The trauma of the situation caused complete memory loss, but she's able to detail how terrified she was right before her recollection goes blank.
Another way out of this situation you found yourself in on June 4th.
No, I think that if I had just left before...
Any consequences with regard to the killing of Travis Alexander, right?
I wasn't concerned about consequences at that point.
Cross-examination on the actual killing started on day 39. At this moment, Jody has already explained that she dropped the camera, was body slammed by Travis, rolled away, and had just ran into the closet to get the gun.
So then you just said that you were going over to the closet area to get the gun, right?
The corner.
The corner, right? And as you are in that corner, he's coming in through the door, right?
Yes.
But man, this is a very small closet, isn't it?
No, it's bigger than the cell that I live in.
It's bigger than what?
It's bigger than the cell that I live in. It's not a small closet.
Ma'am, we don't want to know where you live in. Do you understand that?
I'm just using that as reference. It's not small.
Do you understand? Did I ask you where you were living?
No.
We're clear, right? We do not want to know where you're living right now. You understand that?
Okay, sorry.
You run into the bathroom, don't you?
Yes.
You're in a hurry, right?
Yes.
You want to get away, right?
I want him to not get close to me.
Well, you want to get away. That's what's going on, right?
I want him to not get near me. That's what's going on.
And so what you do then is, according to you, is you then go in here and then you pivot, right? Or turn around.
Yes.
You have the gun. Which hand do you have the gun in?
Both.
So you have it out like this with both hands outstretched?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And so you have the gun outstretched and he's still not there yet, right? He's still in the closet.
He's coming out the door as I turn.
So he's at the door now, right? And according to you, he is on you when you shoot him, right?
Not quite on me. I think the gun went off and then he impacted me right shortly after that.
And in fact, according to your testimony on direct, he falls on top of you, right?
He lunges at me like a linebacker.
Jody used this linebacker analogy a number of times throughout the trial. The prosecutor now asks her to give a visual example. It appeared to have no real tactical purpose, but it was certainly a welcome and somewhat comical distraction for the viewers at home amid the graphic testimony.
As he was running...
No, just show me. That's what I'm asking you to do, not talk. Show me. Show me the linebacker pose.
He got down and...
Well, show me the linebacker pose. That's what I'm asking for you to do.
Okay. He went like that, and he turned his head and grabbed my waist.
Just like that, correct?
Pretty much.
And he grabbed your waist, right?
I can't say it's just like that, but that's what I remember.
No, just I want it without talking. Just show me the pose.
He got down like that.
Like that?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and have a seat then. After he came at you, ma'am, and that happened, did you go down?
We both went down.
And he's still not dead, right?
Definitely not. He's very angry.
He's very angry, and this is seconds afterwards, right?
Yes.
Is he on all fours now?
He's on the side of me, grabbing at my clothes and grabbing at me.
What happens then?
I break away from him, and he screams out, "Fucking kill you, bitch."
And then what do you do?
I don't really remember. I just remember... I don't remember anything at that point, so I would be speculating.
So you don't remember a single solitary thing after that, right?
The prosecutor for the next several hours would argue the improbability of that being the case. The memory loss caused by trauma would put Jody's mind in a state of disorganized chaos. Yet her next steps were highly calculated, as we all know. Even going by her own narrative, she knew exactly where to strike Travis with a knife in order to kill him. She also cleaned down the crime scene and deleted the photos from Travis's camera. This argument took over 3 hours to conduct and had to be explained through the scope of mathematics and science. On paper, it was perhaps the most damning part of cross-examination, yet it was so complicated that much of the testimony could have been lost with a jury. It was in fact the start of day 44 that had the most impact. It involved the time span between the two photographs taken on Travis's camera by accident. The prosecutor's argument is that Jody would not have enough time to carry out her version of events. He will first get her to recount all of these events in detail, and as she is doing so, will be oblivious to the prosecutor's closing argument. She will begin digging her own grave without realizing it, and it's important to note that all of what she is about to recount occurred in just 62 seconds.
This exhibit 161 is when the camera, according to you, actually hit the ground, right?
I don't know if it's hitting the ground as that photo was taken or not.
So you don't know how this photograph was taken then, right?
It could have been when I was trying to catch it. I don't know.
At some point, the camera hits the ground, right?
Yes.
That's what you told the jury, right?
It hits the mat, yes, and rolls to the top.
Ma'am, yes or no? Didn't you tell the jury that the camera hit the ground near the shower? Yes or no?
No. I said it landed on the mat.
Is that near the shower?
Yes.
Is the mat on the floor near the shower?
Yes.
And the camera hitting the mat, would that be near the shower?
Yes.
And you then said that Mr. Alexander became very upset, right?
Yes.
And that's what started this whole thing out, because he sort of stepped out of the shower and then came after you, right?
He picked me up.
That's coming after you, isn't it? And according to you, those movements culminated or continued when he grabbed you and put you down on the ground, right?
Yes.
And as a result of that, you said that you bumped your head or hit your head, right?
Yes.
And maybe it knocked the wind out of you, right?
Yes.
And that you were in fear at that point, right?
Yes, very much.
And that you were able to fight him off so that you could get away, right?
I rolled.
You roll away and you begin to run down the hallway, right?
Yes.
And then you went into the closet, right?
Correct.
According to you, that's where you went and obtained the gun, right?
Yes.
When you went into the bathroom, you were able to turn around, if you will, and now you had the gun in your hands, right? That's what you told us, right?
Yes.
And that's when he was coming at you in this linebacker pose, right?
Around that time, yes.
And that's when you shot him in the face, right?
Yeah, that's when the gun went off.
So then, according to you, he fell on top of you, right?
It was kind of on top, but maybe more to the right. I don't know. It wasn't directly on top of me. I was trying to prevent him from getting on top of me.
And that's when the memory issue started, correct? Right?
I'd say that.
Actually, man, the way you describe that, it's impossible for the killing to have happened in that manner, isn't it?
No, that's just according to you.
You'll notice that Jody evades the majority of the questions in this next segment. She starts to realize the argument put forward is making complete sense, and will at all costs avoid saying yes to most of the points laid out for her. It's as though she knows a fundamental part of her storyline is about to be exposed.
We know that there's some action that is going on at 5:31:14, right? Something's going on, right?
Yes.
We also know that Exhibit 162 is 5:32:16, which is a minute and 2 seconds later, correct?
Correct.
So you've now shot him. You've told us that the fog is rolling in and that you have no memory. You still don't know where the knife is, do you?
I don't remember a lot from that period. It could be.
Right, but you told us before that period even that you didn't know where the knife was. Do you remember just telling me that?
Today, as I sit here, I don't remember where the knife was. On June 4th, I might have remembered where it was.
Do you remember a cross-examination that I asked you if you knew where the knife was on June 4th? And you said, no, I don't remember where the knife was. And so as you shot Mr. Alexander, you, by necessity, then have to go look for the knife, don't you?
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, you didn't have the knife in your hand when you shot him. Did you?
The state.
Did you have the knife in your hand when you shot him?
It's the same question.
Overruled.
No, I did not.
So, that means that if you didn't have the knife in your hand, you needed to go get it from somewhere, right?
I guess. I don't know.
No. There's no guessing here now. If you didn't have it in your hand and you just shot him and you rolled away, right?
Objection, argument.
State.
You do then agree that if you didn't know where the knife was, and Mr. Alexander didn't have it, it would take time for you to go find that knife, wouldn't it?
Objection, argument.
Overruled.
I don't know. I don't know where the knife was.
Right. Since you didn't know where the knife was, it would take time to go find it, irrespective of where it was, wouldn't it?
I guess under that theory.
Sure, under that theory. It would take time, right?
Yeah, I guess.
And what you're telling us, under your scenario, is that in 62 seconds, you get body slammed, you do whatever you do, but you get away, you run down the hallway, you go in the closet, you grab a gun, you back up, you shoot Mr. Alexander, he goes down, he's still pawing at you and saying, "Fucking kill you, bitch." And then, after you're able to get away, you go get the knife, and he ends up at the end of the hallway, all in 62 seconds. That's what you're telling us?
No, that's not what I'm saying. And he didn't say fucking kill you, bitch, till I got away. And
Pardon?
he didn't say fucking kill you, bitch, until after I got away. You said he said it before I broke away, but he said it right as I broke away.
She just created a non-argument for the purpose of deflecting from the primary contention. Whether or not Travis said those words before or after she broke away has no bearing whatsoever on the prosecutor's assertion, which he now reiterates.
And then you had to go get the knife for everything to occur so that we got here.
I don't know all the particulars of what's going on in that picture, so I can't even say if that's true or not.
You might be thinking Jody has an argument here, that perhaps Travis was only shot and not stabbed. This would have given reason for the blood, and contend that Jody wouldn't have had to go looking for the knife. But the medical examiner found little to no bleeding at the site of the bullet track. The probable reason for this is that Travis was already dead. But there are also medical phenomena that could still prove Jody's narrative to be true. What she can't prove, however, is that this blood came from the gunshot.
You say that he gets shot, right?
That's correct.
Goes down, and you describe for us that he's pawing at you, and then you're able to sort of stand up, fucking kill you, bitch, and then the fog rolls in, right?
No, then I have no memory. The fog was already there.
The fog was already there, and did you or did you not have the knife with you?
I did not.
And you obtained it at some other point when you can't tell us, right?
It would appear that way, yes.
You say it would appear that way. Let's be clear, there wasn't anybody else there, right?
That's correct.
And you did stand up at some point. You remember telling us that, right?
I believe I did.
And when you stood up, he was still on the ground, right?
I don't recall looking back.
Pardon?
I don't recall looking back.
So you were, even though he's still a threat to you, according to you, and he's just threatened your life, you turn your back on the threat?
Yeah, I'm trying to get away.
This was the time she stated verbatim, the fog was already there. Yet when she feels threatened by a question, she all of a sudden has a vivid recollection. The element of the time span between the two photographs goes on for another 45 minutes, yet the full context of the argument had already been asserted by this point, and perhaps strengthened by Jody's defensive posture throughout the entire exchange.
When a battered woman is attacked and they're defending their life, they don't know when to stop. Travis Alexander's body was stabbed 27 times. It may be that Jody Arias didn't know when to stop.
This individual, the defendant, Jody Ann Arias, killed Travis Alexander. And even after stabbing him over and over again, and even after slashing his throat from ear to ear, and then even after taking a gun and shooting him in the face, she will not let him rest in peace. But now, instead of a gun, instead of a knife, she uses lies. This is an individual who is manipulative. This is an individual who will stop at nothing and will continue to be manipulative and will lie at every turn and at every occasion that she has. Everything in this case points to the fact that it did not happen. There are no medical reports, there are no friends, there is no one that can come in and say anything about that. There are no medical records, there is absolutely nothing. There is a direct strike to his neck, which is an indication of somebody who is thinking, this person's not going to live. He may get away from me in the shower. He may get away from me all the way to the sink. And he may stumble his way down that hallway. But you know, I caught him. And now, rather than stabbing him anywhere else, right here. So it's a very well orchestrated kill. The other thing that she did is that she created a lie that really involves behavior that is a hot button kind of topic. How horrific it is to be accused falsely of being a pedophile. He's not here. He's not here to say, no, that's not true. And so Snake goes to the computer and doesn't find anything there. Oh, no, I changed my mind. It was actually images. First of all, her journal indicates that there wasn't such an event. Second of all, the text messages also indicate the same thing. And what human being, if that is the allegation, if they really are caring, what human being doesn't go to the police and say, or somebody else, this person is a pedophile? What she does, well, it's the new approach. It's the new approach to pedophilia. What does she do? Well, let's jump in the sack. That's what we're going to do.
The State of Arizona versus Jodi Ann Arias, verdict, count 1. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn, in the above entitled action, upon our oaths, do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder, guilty. 5 jurors find premeditated, 0 find felony murder, 7 find both premeditated and felony.
Just a couple of minutes ago, you heard the verdict from the jury. What are your thoughts?
I think I just went blank. I don't know. I just feel overwhelmed. I think I just need to take it a day at a time.
Did you avoid eye contact with Travis's family while you were in there, or did you make eye contact, and what are your thoughts on that?
I typically avoided eye contact. Travis comes from a family where they all sort of look a lot alike. So when I see their faces, I see Travis, and I see the man that abused me, and I don't want to look at that.
It is ordered. The defendant shall be incarcerated in the Department of Corrections for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
Jodi Arias is currently housed at the Arizona State Prison Complex. She maintains her innocence to this day.
is Roxy was the guy who Roxy was in Wix. Or Esther because it was supposed to go with full notes to the Roxy, and remember how they changed it to go with half a thing? There was a 50 milligrams, right? Could be 15 milligrams or one of the water. Okay, I'm going to check it. I'm waiting for Charlotte to finish the 17th. So it's probably
full 180 as the sports utility vehicle of Colonel Russell Williams was stopped. He was reportedly polite and nonchalant about what he thought was a routine traffic procedure and was sent on his way after just 90 seconds. Unbeknownst to him, he was immediately placed under police surveillance from that moment on, as his tires came up as a complete match to the tracks found in the field near Jessica Lloyd's house. 2 days later, on Sunday, February the 7th, he received a call from police headquarters in Ottawa asking him to visit the premises for the purpose of answering questions in relation to an ongoing investigative matter. The colonel didn't inquire further and agreed to drop into the police station immediately. He reportedly told his wife that he would be back for dinner before setting off and arrived at the headquarters shortly before 3 p.m., where he was greeted by Detective Sergeant Jim Smith, a trained polygraph technician and senior investigator of the Policing Behavioral Sciences Unit.
Just have a seat here, Russell. I'm just going to move your gloves here. That's a little microphone, just to make sure that's nice and clear. As you can see here, everything in this room is videotaped and audio taped. You ever been interviewed by the police in a room like this before? Or?
I've never been interviewed like this.
Oh, no? Okay.
This is the closest to and I asked for top secret clearance.
Oh, yeah? All right. Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in.
The gasconade is casually acknowledged, yet quickly brushed to one side by the detective, followed by the informal address to the subject using his first name. He immediately sets the stage for the interview and takes the colonel down from his elevated platform for the sole purpose of stripping away confidence. This increases the telling signs in body language and intonation when information is fabricated, and also decreases cognitive stamina, lessening the amount of time an individual can keep a facade before they essentially break.
An investigation like this, I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news, especially down Belleville way. And, you know, obviously our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So because of that, we're treating Jessica's case as an emergent situation, obviously. So we're fast forwarding things that we might normally take our time with. And that's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon. So again, I appreciate it. We're going to do a pretty thorough interview today. Okay. And the reason for that is because the last thing we want is to be calling people back again and again and again. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a number of things, and I'm going to explain what all those are to you. Okay.
Try using this bone because
I'm a big coffee guy. I don't know if you're
I think
a
maybe
coffee guy or not, but I didn't want to drink in front of you. So
No, I appreciate that.
allow me to
go ahead.
I could
keep
definitely,
moving
are they black?
under it.
Yeah, they're just black with sugar.
Certain
All right, and again,
circumstances.
like I said, this interview is going to be very thorough.
Though it does
but
take
again,
up space.
I have a simple rule when I talk to people. It's I'm sure you're the same way. I treat everybody with respect. I don't ask if they do the same for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by going through what your rights are. Okay? Just like everybody else. Okay? Have you ever read your rights before? I'm sure you've seen it on TV a whole bunch of times, but that's usually the American version. So I'll go over with you briefly. Okay? Russell, just to avoid any confusion, because people do get confused when they're talked to by the police, is that you're obviously not under arrest here today, okay? Anytime you feel you want to leave here, you feel free to do so. The door's not locked. Teresa will walk you down the lobby anytime you want, okay?
Although the subject was free to leave at any time, there was a very subtle yet highly effective subconscious strategy set in place to try to stop this from happening. The detective has sat between Russell and the door. You will see this method utilized in almost every interrogation, as it's a subliminal message essentially telling the subject, if you want out of this room, you have to go through me.
If there's anything that comes up in our interview today, Russell, that you
This
feel
is where I
you want to
died
talk to a
just
lawyer
about an
about,
hour ago.
you just
Hour and a half ago,
you just let
it
me know,
seems.
okay? And the reason for that is I want to explain to you exactly what's
record
going
it.
on here, okay?
What?
Jessica Lloyd is
need
one
not
of
have it
4
recorded
cases
because-
that we're currently investigating, okay?
And
And essentially what's happened
Who
is
needs
over
to
the
see me
past
die?
about 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences
see,
that,
what do
like
you
I said, that
got?
we're looking
Ring of
into.
garbage.
2 of those occurrences occurred in September of 2009, and very
They have
briefly,
you
we were up
around
in the
for too
Tweed
long,
area.
because you
They
will do
involved
something
somebody
to me.
entering 2 different women's houses
Not you either.
in the evening hours and committing sexual acts. Okay.
Oh.
During
one of these.
2009, there were 34 break-ins and attempted break-ins in the quiet town of Orleans, Ottawa, resulting in the theft of hundreds of intimate female garments, one incident of rape, and one incident of forcible confinement. All of these occurrences took place not far from the home of Russell Williams, who is now the prime suspect for each of these infractions at the time of his interrogation.
In November of 2009, a young lady by the name of Marie-France Como, was found murdered in her home in Brighton. And there was a sexual component to that crime as well.
Corporal Marie-France Como was a 37-year-old military traffic technician based at CFB Trenton. She was raped and suffocated to death inside her home in late November of 2009, which the colonel was also the prime suspect for at this moment.
And then most recently we had Jessica Lloyd's disappearance, okay? So essentially, when you look at those kind of crimes, we're looking at a number of different potential criminal charges, all right? We're looking at issues all the way from the most serious one, which is first-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, break and enter with intent to commit sexual assault, forcible confinement, okay? And so what I want to make sure you understand, and this is what we've been doing with everybody we've been talking to, is that clearly when we find out who's responsible for one or all of those crimes, they could be charged with one or all of those offenses, okay? Whether it's you or whether it's anybody else, all right? And that's why it's important that we make sure that people understand what they have to do and what they don't have to do when they're talking to us, okay? So as I said before, any point today you feel the need, you want to speak to a lawyer, you let me know, and we can take you to a room where you can do that in private, okay?
So we're opening this
Is there any
door,
reason you want to call a lawyer now?
and we're going back.
These first two attacks that happened
not
that far from
because
my
we
place
have to
in
go get
Tweeville,
2 more things
second
before we can advance.
we didn't even know the first
We
one
must
happened,
get
but I understand that was reasonably
some
close
heads.
as well, but the second one was very
Well,
close.
we got to get that last plane, but that'll be incidental. In fact,
Went door to door.
Yeah.
do we want to try?
Probably the same night, so I spoke with a couple guys.
Let's try this.
The analysis of vocal intonation is a tricky thing when dealing with
I have an idea.
interrogations,
I
as
have
it
an
cannot
idea.
be used as evidence
So
in
we're gonna
court.
go.
Yet intuition would give many the sense that discomposure is emanating from the colonel at this moment. The way he is speaking comes across as slightly nervous and unsure. He would appear to most as being agitated in the manner he is both processing information and communicating his responses. This type of cognitive recognition is a difficult thing to articulate into words, and investigators simply characterize it as gut instinct, which Detective Jim Smith would have no doubt been feeling at this moment.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm aware of that from looking at the different cases.
Now
And essentially,
we will go
Russell,
to.
in a nutshell, that's what we wanted to talk to you about. Okay?
Now we can go directly
those 4
to
cases are of concern to us.
Miyako.
And
To do the
you've
Miyako.
kind of almost hit the nail on the head about some of our
This
issues
will give
that kind
me.
of make us want to talk
We're gonna do
to
the
Russell
arena.
Williams. Okay.
The arena
Because
lets us-
essentially, there was a connection between you
Let's do
and,
this.
and all 4 of
Reduce
those
my
cases.
special attack timing.
Would you agree? Geographically,
And then I guess
or
I drive past, yes, I would say there's a
The colonel is asked to state his movements and activity over the past 4 days, which is known in forensic psychology as gathering pretext. The detective wants to get an initial alibi from the suspect before the confrontational phase of the interrogation begins. This is the most calm a state that he intends to keep Russell in before he ramps up the pressure, and a more relaxed suspect often results in more detailed pretext, thus more information to scrutinize and correlate with any changes made at a later stage.
Friday today I was Friday on the day I was at home. Most of the day I had a stomach flu.
Okay. In Ottawa or Tweed? In Tweed?
Tweed is a village in Ontario where the colonel had a second vacation home located roughly 125 miles from his house in Ottawa.
Okay. So we backtrack then. So all day Friday, you're at home. And then what time do you leave to go to the base to sleep there on Friday night?
Not sure, probably just went in for just before bed. I probably left 2:09 or something.
Okay. And you get to the base and spend the evening there and get up for the 5:30?
Yeah.
Okay. So we backtrack from there. When did you arrive at your home at the cottage? I don't want to get confused between your home in Ottawa and the home in Tweed. So,
No, I had been in Tweed all week.
Yeah.
The week prior now. Yeah, I think that's the case. I was in Tweed all week. Flew Saturday. Headed to Ottawa Saturday.
Okay. So, if you didn't have the stomach flu on the Friday, what was your schedule that day? Okay.
What would have been my schedule? Just a standard schedule in the office.
Okay.
So, office briefing, a couple of I can't remember what the specifics were.
Okay. So, Thursday night you slept this week, or you?
Yeah.
All right. And what did you do Thursday during the day?
Thursday during the day, I was at the base again. I think it was a fairly standard day. I can't recall anything, but yeah, nothing. It was not long, so I was at the base. So I got in early in the morning, back in the evening again.
Okay.
The method of gathering pretext is then focused on the murder of Marie-France Coma.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to walk you through November, but I'm going to take you to a date that's probably pretty fresh in your mind. The day that Marie-France Coma. Do you remember how you found out?
I sent an email. Well, as soon as the ops staff and the base learned, they told me.
Okay.
So I got an email. I can't remember if it was late at night or in the morning. Just certainly I saw it. I want to say first thing in the morning because I had just come back from Ottawa. I was in Ottawa for a set of meetings on one of the days. I can't remember what day of the week we're talking about, but yeah, no, I mean, obviously one of the people that's killed that gets her attention.
Absolutely.
I'm sure I'm better coming in.
And how did you know Marie-France Coma?
So your head's not there.
I'd only met her once.
This is permanent.
She was on a
What is
crew. I was on just after I got to the base.
41115.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Do you know roughly when that happened?
Now.
So we were on the same crew?
The time you met her, the one time there, yeah?
It was soon after I got to the base, so I don't remember exactly, but I would say in the first couple of months, so August, September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you got that email notifying you that something had happened.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of a clear recollection as to how your schedule was going that week?
Well, I can't remember what day that the message came in. Just a second.
Couple frogs.
No, I can't remember what day of the week, but
How much would you sell me?
I just think there was a whole bunch of activity spun up as a result, obviously. I can't remember the day of the week.
This was the third time in quick succession the colonel stated that he couldn't remember the answer to the question. A normal interaction between two parties would most often elicit the person posing the question to reassure the individual it was directed at. Statements along the lines of, "Don't worry if you can't remember, we'll move on," or "It was a long time ago, it must be difficult to recollect," would be afforded as a form of consolation and to also break the uncomfortable silence. Even during a legitimate witness statement, some form of emotional assistance or encouragement will often be given, especially to someone in the midst of recollecting a distressing moment or time period from the past. On this occasion, there is no such reassurance from the detective whatsoever, only a stoic gaze and not a single shift in body posture during the moments of silence.
I'm not gonna buy any more.
I'm just trying to think through the news.
Still gotta go get that last.
No, I'm sorry, I can't
I
remember
don't
what day
need
it was,
any
but
lunatic tickets. Fuck, man. Don't need this. This is just shit we don't need right now.
what we learned after the fact was that the
Don't need it.
the MPs had learned
Give me something.
of her
Give me
death.
something.
I think quite a bit after.
I think it's
her body
possible
had
for
been
this guy to
discovered.
have really good shit. But it's hard to tell when he's going to. So one,
I think what
10 to
happened.
100.
Sorry, just a second.
So if we were to do a similar investigation in your background, is there anything you can think of that anybody may have misinterpreted, or anything in your history that somebody might say Russell Williams
Absolutely.
did this?
No.
Okay.
Be very boring.
What's that?
They would be very boring.
All right, and essentially that's what I'm looking at. Is it? You seem like a very intelligent person, and I think you can see how a surprise like that would certainly set off some alarm bells in investigation. Right? Okay. So the next thing we need to cover off is, well, I'll just ask you this straight out. Given the types of crimes we're investigating, do you get much chance to watch television shows, CSI, things like that?
I do watch, I prefer Law and Order, but I do watch CSI occasionally, yes.
Okay. So you have an idea of, obviously, the forensic capabilities, things like that are out there. What would you be willing to give me today to help me move past you in this investigation?
What do you need?
Well, would you be willing to supply things like fingerprints, blood samples,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only two pieces of evidence that police had acquired at this point in time were the tire tracks and the footprints outside the missing person's residence. What many are unaware of is that the DNA found on Marie France Como was not admissible, as her body was highly decomposed at the time of discovery, thus making any genetic analysis virtually impossible, as this was before the era of the latest DNA testing method known as next-generation sequencing. Only one of the sexual assault victims had male DNA found on the back of her neck, yet this was by far the least severe attack, which falls into the bracket of forcible confinement, and had no exterior elements connected to the more serious infractions of murder and rape. The evidence of the tire tracks would be easily refuted by a defense team, as they were a relatively common brand for off-road vehicles, which would extinguish the BRD standard of proof, also known as guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. The only significant piece of evidence were the footprints. It was the singular and emblematic element linked to the culpability of Jessica Lloyd's disappearance. And notice how the colonel looks down at his own boots as he gives his response to the following request.
Footwear impressions?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's what we're gonna ask you to do. All right. I told you when I came in here that I'm gonna treat you with respect, and I've asked you to do the same for me. We talked about the whole idea of how we've approached you here. Trying to be as discreet as possible. Okay. But the problem is, Russell, is every time I walk out of this room, there's another issue that comes up. Okay. And it's not issues that point away from you. It's issues that point at you. Okay. And I want you to see what I mean. All right. This is the footwear impression of the person who approached the rear of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January.
Yeah.
Okay. Because essentially, when you're dealing with footwear impressions, we have a gentleman on the OPP who's basically world-renowned. His name is John Norman. And essentially, with footwear impressions, you're in a situation where you're pretty much in the area of fingerprints. Okay.
All of the previous affirmations were fabricated for the sole purpose of heightening psychological pressure. Footprints are not even close to being as indistinguishable nor incriminating as fingerprints.
This is a photocopy of the boot that you took off your foot just a little while ago. Okay. Now, I'm not an expert in footwear impressions, so I rely on the experts. Footwear impressions are very much like fingerprint comparisons. Okay. You take a look at this print, and again, this is one print. This person walked through, there's several different prints to compare. So we're going to get features off of one print to compare, features off another print to compare. These are identical. Okay. Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay, you want discretion. We need to have some honesty, okay? Because this is getting out of control really fast, Russell. Okay, really, really fast. This is getting beyond my control. All right, I came in here a few hours ago called you the way I called you today because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. But you and I both know you were at Jessica Lloyd's house, and I need to know why. Well, you need to explain it because this is the other problem we're having, Russell. Okay? Again, these decisions are made by me. Right now, there's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Ottawa. Okay? So your wife now knows what's going on. There's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Tweed, and your vehicle's been seized. Okay? You and I both know they're going to find evidence that links you to these situations. Okay. You and I both know that the unknown offender mailed on Marie Transcomo's body is going to be matched to you, quite possibly before the evening's over. Okay. This is a major investigation. The Center of Forensic Sciences is on call 24 hours a day helping us with this. Your opportunity to take some control here and to have some explanation that anybody is going to believe is quickly expiring. Okay? Listen. Listen to me for a second. Okay? When that evidence comes in, when that DNA match, when that phone rings and somebody knocks on this door, your credibility is gone, okay? Because this is how credibility works, all right? And I know you're an intelligent person, and you probably don't need to hear this explanation, but I also know your mind's racing right now, okay? Because I've sat across a lot of people in your position over the years, okay? The bottom line is that as soon as we get that piece of evidence that solidifies it, DNA, okay? As soon as the expert in footwear impressions, the expert in tire impressions, calls and says, yes, I've examined those and they're a match, it's all over. Because as soon as that happens, where's your credibility? Where's your believability? Russell, you know there's only one option. What other option is there?
What's the option?
Well, I don't think you want the cold-blooded psychopath option. I might be wrong. Because don't get me wrong, I've met guys who actually kind of enjoyed the notoriety, got off on it. Got off on having that label. Bernardo being one of them. I don't see that in you. If I saw that in you, I wouldn't be back here talking to you, quite frankly. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you got me fooled. I don't know. This is over. And it can have a bad ending.
Okay, forget it.
Where?
Alright, I just realized it's probably not going to work. Because...
To wonder where her daughter's lying.
Whatever. Here's the test. We're going to test and see if we can get to...
There's a huge search still
45,
underway. It'll continue.
46.
It'll continue until her body's found.
No, what is the push button?
Once that happens.
For this? I forget. Does it unlock me?
Then I don't know what other card
CN?
you have to play.
Or does it only unlock before choose one?
What are we going to do? Russell. What are we going to do?
Call me Russ, please.
Okay. What are we going to do, Russ? this somewhere we can find her easily? Like, is this something where I can make a call and tell somebody to go to a location and they're going to find her, or is it something where we have to go and take a walk? Russ, maybe this would help. Can you tell me what the issue is you're struggling with?
It's hard to believe this is happening.
Why is that? Why is it hard to believe? Russ, is there anything you want from me? Is there anything you want me to explain? Is there something missing that you're struggling with that I can shed some light on for you?
I'm struggling with how upset my wife is right now.
This investigation will end up costing no less than $10 million. Easy. And they will say no to nothing. Any request this major case manager makes on this case, they've already been told it's approved. Don't even bother asking. So what do I do on this? I put my best foot forward here for you, bud. I really have. I don't know what else to do to make you understand the impact of what's happening here. Do we talk?
I want to minimize the impact on my wife.
So do I.
So how do we do that?
Well, we start by telling the truth. So where is she? Is she close to where she lives? I've got maps of that general area. Which town is she near? Why don't we start there?
I'm not sure if you give me a map of that covers Calabar down to the highway and over to Tweed and south. I'll show you.
Let me see what I got here. I might have something. Is she inside, outside?
What can I do?
Is she close to a road? All right.
What should we do?
Is it something where is she buried, or is
Should we
she somewhere
grab?
where if you walk there you would fairly easily see her? Okay. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. Do you want any water or anything?
Sure.
Okay. I'll be right back. How long has she been there for?
A little over a week.
Was it fairly quick time she left?
Friday night.
Friday night?
Yeah.
So where was she between Thursday night and Friday night?
In Tweed.
With you?
Yeah.
How long was she left?
So we're going. I'm going to get the Adams scale.
Almost 24 hours, not quite.
Because that could be.
Russ?
That could
You
be
know
the key.
everything here.
How do I get the Adam's tab? Yes, this way. We go here.
Very the obvious question I'm gonna have
Ignore all
for you
these
is,
assholes if they're no longer capable of
when they
doing
go
anything
there,
to
they'll
me.
be there shortly. They're gonna find her.
That's how you get to
What do
scan.
you
So,
want to talk about?
the button can be used for one
Because it's pretty wide open now.
house,
What do you want to know?
but it can be used for this as well.
Do you want to work forwards or backwards?
Doesn't matter.
Why don't we start with Jessica?
You can kill these
How does
hydras.
that start for you?
See if they drop anything for me. Those things can be annoying.
I saw her in her house.
And that's a fragment.
On her treadmill.
Oh, I trapped myself in a corner.
Livingston Addicts.
Okay. No, I meant in the hospital, not in the
She wasn't
Oh boy. Okay, so
there
now...
Thursday.
Now what can I do?
So I got into the house to look around.
Oh man, it looks like this don't work the way I want it. Oh well. I'll do it the slow way. It's okay.
She'd come home.
Because like this might still work and I still could probably get a record with it.
Through the back patio door.
Yeah, no damage. Look, no damage.
She was sleeping.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what I want.
Maria
Yes.
France,
Now.
so come on.
There was an open window in the basement of her house when she was away. I went in there a couple of minutes before she came home. I went back in there late at night when she was at home. She was on the phone in her bedroom. She actually discovered me in the basement. She was trying to get her cat to come upstairs, and the cat was in the basement, had seen me and was fixated on me in the corner. She couldn't get the cat up, so she came downstairs to try and get the cat, and I'm not more sure why she came over to me. I guess the cat was staring at me, and she was wondering what the cat was staring at. The lights were on. So when she spotted me, I had the same flashlight. I subdued her.
I'm an idiot. What I should have done was the opposite. I should have... I could have tried to get this blue thing last because...
Why do you think these things happen?
Finish you off.
Have you spent much time thinking about that?
No idea.
Yeah.
A button. Another button. I can use it, I guess, on the way back.
But I don't know the answers.
Drop it off, see if we can fight Cien. I hit you. Open. So now, to even advance, you need to have that shit. So, okay, whatever. Oh, I know what I could have. Oh, I'm an idiot. No, I couldn't have done it. So we're gonna go here, different button, different thing. Oh, that one looks like me, yeah. Yeah.
Want to take it, or do you want me to?
Yes. Oh, yeah. What, they still want me to have the paper trays?
Yeah.
Whatever. They're supposed to change that this morning, but whatever. Alright, thank you. Pain in the ass, trying to make me lose time.
No, I haven't. I want to eventually.
Huh? Sure, thank you. If you just want to get it on the
Yeah.
table. They were supposed to change it to normal
Regular
days
one,
by
yeah,
now.
I know. Listen, it's gonna take a while. You know, everything works.
Even what's her name? Yolanda called this morning.
Yeah.
And like after the one to one was taken off last
Yeah,
night.
it's taken off. It's not your thing.
Yeah. It's alright. Oh shit. Forgot I was still recording, huh? Well, let's go get that final piece that may be the key to our victory. Anything. Can I use anything from you? Why would you cost more than that? Oh. Because it does have dexterity. But this has 17 dexterity. That's probably the best eclipse I could have found. I mean, like, non-unique. But, shit. If it had been the, relayer, that would have been awesome. I love doing speed runs where you don't have to do them in real time. I can tell you that much. So, here we go. 40, get you the essence of the soul. The soul essence. Let's lock you. Let's keep you there. Not picking up nothing else. Nothing. Can Fat Man Lord still hurt me? Looks like lots of things can hit me for 1 to 2 damage. 59. I got 59. 59. If we can get a few more from this armor. So now we go kill a warlock or two, why not? Kill an assassin. Because they piss me off when I kill them so many times. Especially your ass to the ground. Advance. Advance. This is where the end begins. Leave me alone. He's got one too. But he didn't realize the second he crossed the threshold, he would be attacked. Giant and acutely aware. He wasn't even able to place the soul effort. I'm going to slowly. No. That's what I mean. If you go too quickly, pick up 2, 3 of these guys. Don't need you necessarily, nor that. princess?